I think it's the same thing like with my mother. My mom passed 3 years ago, and I still interact with her way of being through certain things my daughter does, certain things my wife does, remind me of my mom, because all she was fundamentally was a series of patterns that were so regular that I began calling it mom when I was around 2 years old, or whenever I said mom for the first time. But a mother or a father is a low-resolution picture of a series of patterns or a way of being, what Jesus would call a spirit. And so, yes, I have a relationship with the Spirit of Jesus today. So, sorry to blow the air a bit if you...
That seems fine to me.
It sounds mostly like feelings and processing of concepts as a human animal. I don't understand why people say that they have a relationship with Jesus. I mean, obviously they don't. It's just stuff that they're making up in their head and applying it to something that's been labeled for them in the past.
I mean, if you want to go with the low-resolution image as Jesus as a human being and historical character, then it's just obvious that people aren't interacting with that. So it's like so many times atheists have this desire to attack a straw man, and they only see lies in the minds of other people who haven't really thought deeply about these things.
Well, no, it's like if I say I have a relationship with George Washington, and you're like, what do you mean? Like, the historical figure? Like, no, like, and like whenever I get something notarized, it just doesn't make any sense, you know? It's like, okay. And it like maybe makes sense to you, but really, I guess to me and Honey Badger, we're just like, huh? Like we don't have relationships like that. Either you're...
Yeah, I mean, it's cool if they want to say that. That's pretty much what it sounds to. It's like, I'm willing to grant, if you just want to say, hey, my idea of a relationship is like this, I'll go, okay, that's cool. Cool for you. It's just different for me.
Doesn't that have a relationship with Dostoevsky? If I read the Karamazov, then yeah, I'm in a relationship with Dostoevsky, and that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying.
All right, it sounds benign, sort of like a vestigial language artifact, which you could do without. Like, I don't have a spiritual relationship with any other creature or spirit.
I thought you had one with
my relationships are strictly material. Well, I mean, music, you know, but that's a relationship that I can measure, and I can actually give you the name of some dumbass artist, and you can be like, yeah, that music sucks shit. And I'll be like, yeah. But that's like sharing a secret, which is something Tim mentioned.
You guys have heard people on the left refer to Donald Trump as Hitler. Some people do him the favor of saying that he's like Hitler, but other people just say, oh, he's the new Hitler, right? And what they're pointing at, for the philosophically minded, is that there's a similarity in the way of being. What they're saying is that Donald Trump wants to be a dictator. He praises dictators. He does all these executive orders, and I'm not trying to have a political debate at all. But people do this all the time. But people say, you're the next Michael Jordan. You are this.
Yeah, we get it's like an archetype, right?
Sure. I mean, I think that
I think that's made that deeper philosophical.
Yeah, no, he has a mustache.
When he's just like a tired guy who likes hamburgers sometimes, right? I see what you mean. Like people, myth making, legend making is pretty quick and easy to happen.
Yeah, it's like I understand what you're saying, Biscuit. I just don't think it's that ponderous or deep. But it just, to me, I'm just like,
I wasn't asked to be ponderous or deep. I was asked to answer.
You said something that was philosophical that really wasn't. And so I think that in your mind, these things are really, I don't know, impressive intellectually to you. But to me, they're not.
Derek Hartford and Jeff McMahon are philosophers. They're not trying to be deep or impress you. They're just letting you know, like, what's the logical truth about relationships. We see things in favor of our organism as a human being. So the things that we see and interact with are reflections of our limitations as human beings.
Yeah, I have basically abstract thinking. I've had this as I was a kid. Like, you're not telling me. You know that, right? Yeah. You aware of this?
No. It's like
the main issue with human general is you're surrounding a person yourself, you know.
you're so wrapped up in what my intentions are that you're not following the process. It's very simple.
So Biscuit. So what you're doing right now is you're trying to undercut my mental abilities here by saying that. So what am I not exactly grasping? This deep fucking message that you're trying to express. What am I not grasping? Point it out.
It's not deep. You just
Right.
said that yourself.
Thank you.
You just criticize me for not being deep. I'm like, who cares if it's not deep?
I don't mind if you're not deep. Just do you think you are though? That's what's weird about it. It's like
Okay,
I don't know.
that's okay. So I don't think I'm being deep once I told you.
You're gonna know I'm full of shit like 99% of the time. I know I'm a fucking idiot. Like I don't just sit around and pretend that I'm some fucking philosopher, you know. It's me like most of you clubhouse people. It's like
yeah, you're different. You're smart. You're edgy. Whatever the fuck. But it's like, look,
no, I'm reasonably intelligent. I'm like normally intelligent. I'm not like
no one's questioning any of that. I'm just saying. I didn't try to be deep, and regardless of whether or not I think I'm deep, like if you're saying, oh, you think you're deep, even if that's true, who gives a fuck?
James just asked you about your relationship to Jesus, and you're trying to like bullshit us with all this like nonsense. It doesn't really work. Like he asked you like a direct question. Why just fucking answer it? It's like being a phony.
That's a little unfair.
It's not unfair. That's exactly what he's doing. Like,
It's just
fucking great.
It's just a bunch of vestigial language, dude. It's like it's not terribly malicious or whatever.
It's not just
It's not even so bad.
like, right, when he gets around other people who think like, oh yeah, Jesus is in my heart. Oh really?
Yeah, but like, it's not trying to blast Jesus into your heart, or you'll be krill and heck, you know. Right? It could be.
I wouldn't be able to handle it. It'd be too much for me.
I'd just rather be threatened up front, right? I'd rather just be told, look, my Jesus is the one that's real for you too, and if you don't like agree with me right now, you're going to heck. I'd be like, oh great, I know what I'm dealing with, right? This is great. But a biscuit isn't like this terrible situation, right? So there's some frustration around like not knowing.
Yeah, you're in no danger, right? It's like, I think that if someone were to approach you embodying the spirit of Jesus, you would like this.
What does that mean?
Well, I would have to like them, or they would fail.
That doesn't mean anything.
Okay, no, it doesn't mean anything that someone can embody the spirit of Jesus.
That's loaded language. You should look up some of these terms, dude. And maybe read a book about like how people in cults are controlled. You might learn something, and you're doing the same shit.
Do you know what plausibility is? Like how to test for plausibility instead of like ultimate.
Well, if you're testing for plausibility, you're not applying that to your spiritual beliefs. I'll tell you that right up front.
Yes,
I don't know what you're trying to ask me, but you're deflecting and you're being evasive. That's what you're doing.
You're saying there's cult language being used, and I'm saying, do you know the difference between that kind of language and how to actually test for plausibility?
I know bullshit when I hear it. I don't need to. See, you're doing this thing where you're making something sound ponderous and deep when it's not. You're just full of shit. That's what your deal is. I'm sorry if I'm just like talking to you like we're on the street, like a normal conversation. That's how I do things. Right?
Ponderous and deep.
You think you're a philosopher, but you are not. You're not Schopenhauer. You're not Jean-Paul Sartre, right?
But what if what you said was true? Like, what if I thought it was a blasphemy? What's your point behind that?
Then you're a phony, and I'm pointing it out.
Okay, so like, but what does that have to do?
What does you know that your bullshit does not work on me? Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Well, Roy, to be honest, or to be fair, he's not trying to convince you, right? He's just speaking from his personal beliefs.
How much of an idiot to see?
No, I get it, James, but it's nonsense. Like, I mean, he's still using language. He's misusing language.
Is it possible for me to complete a point? I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, would you like that, James? Would that be a nice feeling for you to get to complete a fucking thought?
Atheist versus atheist. Jigsaw, keep the cameras rolling.
You think I give a fuck about you completing a thought, James? No, I don't.
Biscuit just has like a style, you know. It's not even that bad. I don't.
So,
Biscuit. I want to ask you a question here, really. So you said that you don't have a relationship in the way that it was conveyed to you, like what Tim was asking, like you don't like shake the person's hand, right? So can you convey to us, like, how this relationship manifests? Is it some sort of manifestation that you experience? Like, can you explain?
Sure, yeah. So Jesus said a lot of important things, and the only reason I'm bringing up Jesus in Scripture is to show that I'm not creating neologisms or stories that are only about me or my little private interest. I'm actually interested in what Jesus said about relating to him. So Jesus said things like, wherever 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them. Whenever you do for the least of these, you've done it for me. He said to the Apostle Paul, why persecutest thou me? Meaning, he identified with his followers, right? And so, because I realize, or believe at least, that in the Bible Jesus said, I am the way. He didn't identify as a human being. He identified as a way of being and said, my body, I'm going to give up to be broken. It's transient. That's not who I am. What I am is a way of being. I am love for the poor. I am genuine.
I'm sorry. I asked you how is your relationship manifesting, and you're just telling me a bunch of things that, like, this quote unquote individual that you're labeling Jesus said, which we can all read in a book, right? I don't care about what he said. I'm asking you because you're saying that you have a personal relationship with this thing that you're labeling Jesus, right? I'm just asking you how that manifests. Just answer that question, please.
Right, and it's a complicated question, so you'll have to forgive slightly lengthy answer. I am getting that.
I don't think so. I think it's a very direct question.
Just because a question is direct doesn't mean it's not complicated. That's not a true dichotomy.
Well, no, I asked you how it manifests.
Wait, hold on. What makes it complicated? What do you
now the question
about this question, about this answer?
Hold on. We got somewhere. There I am with you also, where 2 or more are gathered in his name. Is there any way to test this? Can we gather in his name remotely on Clubhouse? And then look at that manifestation? Like, does Jesus have weight? Can we put him on a scale in here and see how tall he is? Does he have any defining characteristics? Because that's what it would mean to have a subject in custody. You would literally have them here in your presence, and when your Honor judge says, is the defendant present, as in present with us here, the defendant will have to be like, yes, Your Honor, I am present. Because it's me. I have a tattoo on my arm and all these other defining characteristics. I'm this weight. I have handcuffs on, blah, 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 blah. So that was right where the whole question got answered immediately and then dumped, laundered away. What does it mean to be present? What is it that he's there with them, gathered together in his name? Yeah, I'm just a little confused because, like, it seems to me, like, based on what you were saying, is that you read something that a person wrote down in a book that somebody named Joshua or Jesus or whatever said something, and, like, it seems like you resonate with what I said. Like, you hold some value to the things that were said. And to me, it seems like you're just calling that value of what somebody, quote unquote, said as an experience or like a relationship, right? Is that what you're saying? Because if that's the case, there's many things that many people have said or quotes about, and I resonate with those, or I value those things. And I don't say that I have a relationship with those people, though. I have a relationship.
That's exactly my point.
I have a relationship with the value of the thing that was being said, but not the person itself that said it.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to try really hard to do is not interrupt you when you're talking, and you haven't done that either. What I'm asking is, if you can. No, but I'm just saying, for that reason, if we can kind of keep what we're saying brief, because I can only really catch the tail end or remember the tail end of what you're saying. So when I brought up the philosophers like Parfit, the reason I did that was because I've explored whether or not my relationship with Jesus is just some private thing, because I am biased. I'm biased, and I try my best to eliminate my biases as much as I can, but I can't eliminate them all the way. I'm biased in favor of Christianity. That's the wisdom tradition that I respect the most. And so when Parfit wrote that essay, the conclusion of which is that we are not human beings. What we are is our ways of being. And we look like human beings when we have this low resolution human perspective. But fundamentally, we are processes. And so what Jesus was saying is, I am a way of being. And whenever this way of being is seen throughout the earth, you are interacting with me. And you can help others interact with me by embodying this spirit or way of being. Meaning, being kind, not calling people out of their names, not making the world more hell-like, or avoiding the worst possible misery for everyone, sacrificing in order to avoid that end, right? So in that way, I think that I have a relationship with Jesus based on how Jesus saw himself.
Okay, but how can you
can you have a relationship with
how is it different than if you read another book by, just pick a random philosopher you like whatever, and you resonate with that philosopher's
Fresh goes
ideas,
better, Mentos freshness. Fresh goes better with Mentos, fresh and full of life. Mentos.
Ideas you find in the New Testament. What is the difference?
That's a fantastic question, and Jesus was called the firstborn of many brethren for that reason, because he woke us up to the idea that there's hardly any difference besides that Jesus and whatever author you're referring to might be different. So I can embody the spirit of whoever I want to. Like people are saying Trump embodies the spirit of Hitler. A lot of people disagree, but we understand what they're saying. We're saying fundamentally there is a way of being, despite the human being. Right? So I don't want to hate the human being. When I hate the argument, when I hate the way of being.
Jesus, Candy!
Right?
Candy Jesus.
And
with each piece of art. Jesus, Candy. Jesus, Candy.
For instance, if you are able to imagine something close to what they were imagining when they wrote it, and with good authors, people mostly can. Authors are really good at doing it. You are literally putting on their lips. You're enacting in that same way of being. And that's kind of what's beautiful about
Jesus,
you can really share in a world that someone else built.
Okay.
I
like that, actually.
Hold on, Kyle, but just so I get an answer, like, how is that different than what you're saying with your relationship with Jesus and his ideas?
That's not. That's why I like to
think. You kind of mansplained to me like abstraction.
You can just have a relationship with all manner of concept or writer. You can just be in relationships with all sorts of things, which I guess that's true, sort of.
Now, another thing.
You said hold on, Biscuit. You said that it was complicated, right? And to me, I can just dumb down what you said was like, somebody said a thing, I value it, therefore that's what I mean by a relationship. Like, that's the simplistic and easy, like, that's not complicated.
That's what I meant.
Like, when you said it was complicated,
yeah,
that was just extremely easy to convey and very easy to understand terms. If you just said somebody said it
I don't
once,
like it.
down, and I value that, like it gives me a good feeling inside. I value it, and that's what I mean when I have a relationship with that person. That's all you have to say. That's not complicated.
Well, that's what I am going to run with, whether he was saying that or not. I can definitely utilize it. I was like looking for any level of practicality, and that was it.
So it's kind of like what most religious people do when you go like, okay, I don't agree with these ideas and concepts you're telling me. And they go, well, you just don't understand it. You don't have the understanding. You get that? That's more like low-level Black Hebrew Israelite shit, but kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, you have to convolute what you're saying, right? Right. Like, why do you have to convolute?
And it's like, it's very simple. It's like, what do you mean it's complicated? Why is that complicated to you?
Yeah.
Do you think that we're dumb or something? Like, we don't understand basic abstraction?
No, I mean, I think you'd be dumb if you assume you understood something. If you just blanket assume you understood something when someone said you didn't, you should consider if you're wise. I don't know.
So why are you mentioning that if someone does this, then it would be dumb when I didn't do? Why are you bringing up something that I didn't do?
Well, because I'm not just talking to you. I'm speaking in